Welcome to the Unheard Cries of a Mother, the podcast where we dive into the raw, unfiltered stories of motherhood, the joys, the struggles, and the sacrifices, not to mention the triumphs. Here, we amplify voices that too often go unheard, shining a light on the incredible strength, resilience, and love of mothers around the world. I'm your host, Sabrina Ben Salmi, and I invite you to join me in to discover these stories behind the smiles, lessons shared, and create a community that uplifts, supports, and inspires. It's an absolute honor to be here in this seat today with yourself, Magda. Let's hope that you feel feel a sense of peace as we have this conversation. It's just a conversation between mums, and you're going to get to share your perspective and your own journey. So, welcome
Oh,
to the hot seat, and thank you for joining us.
thank you, Sabrina. It's a real pleasure and honor to be having the opportunity to speak on this podcast. Really excited. Really excited. Thank you.
Brilliant. So, let's jump straight in. So, one of the first questions I'd love to ask you is, can you share a pivotal moment in your motherhood journey that shapes who you are today?
Hmm. I think this is a hard question, but a good one because it's always one that takes you back into the low moments that you thought you couldn't come out of, and then it's that one that defines who you are today. I think for me, it was that point where I realized I needed to change my career.
Mm,
Um, and I needed to make very difficult decisions that would ensure, as a finding myself as a single parent, I can raise my kids and give them the best opportunities possible. So that was a couple of years ago, about 8 years or nine. My son was still a baby, I would say, or just about a toddler. My daughter was just about 3 years old, and I had to raise both of them, and I didn't want to go on benefits. Weirdly, I had people saying, "Why didn't you just go on benefits? Because you're in the perfect spot where you're a single parent and you can just, get the support from the government." And I thought, I don't want that to be my story. I don't want my kids to have that as some something to look up to. So I'd rather increase my income. And the best way was to upgrade my studies. Mind you, I had already gotten my master's degree in economics, but I needed to upgrade because the income was not enough to cover childcare, because childcare will take everything away
yes,
as soon as you're paid.
so
And then you
true.
think, okay, you're just like drowning in debt, even though you're working full time. And it's just a weird system we have in the society where mothers who find themselves needing to raise the kids alone. I could be parents, apologetically, I have to say. Some fathers find themselves in similar situations,
Exactly.
and they really want to do the right thing. They don't want to just give up and then be a burden on the state, but somehow the state does not recognize that extra push needed to support that person who would say, I don't want to sit down and watch TV all day. I want to move higher up so I don't become a burden long term. And my children also learn not to be lazy, I would say, and again, apologetically so, because there are scenarios where you have no other option than to
Ex-
take those options. It's an individual to individual basis, but where you're able and you just need a little bit of support to help you, it's a very difficult time. And I found myself facing that challenge. I had to take a huge loan to go on a program, 6 months program to become a data scientist because I didn't have the, programming side of skills. I had the statistics, the analytical, but I didn't have the programming. And I needed to have my kids full time, keep my full time job, do that extra course. It was hard, but I had to choose that option. That will forever be, I would say, a pivotal moment because I could have just gone the other direction, but I didn't. I spent weeks, months sleeping barely 3 hours. In fact, when my son, you know how kids are, right? When they're still breastfeeding and they love breastfeeding.
Yeah.
They would
They
sleep,
just come
they
on.
would breastfeed before they go to bed. And then you sleep next to them because my baby would sleep next to me. And as soon as he sleeps, I'm like, okay, let me sleep now. And then as soon as you think you're like going into sleep, 3 hours later, he's up because he needs to change his nappy. He needs his nappy changed. And that's when I know, okay, my sleep time is over. I change his nappy and I have to go and study. So late in the night, I'm studying into the morning before I go to work. And mind you, makeup was my best friend because you couldn't tell the tiredness on my face. But I had to mask it. And yeah, I think that was it. I know it's a one question, but yeah, it is one
No,
pivotal
you
moment
know
for
what I
me.
love? You gave such a wholesome response. And I just want to give you your roses because it takes such courage and strength to make the decision that you made, but also to persevere, juggling work while studying, while raising two young children, breastfeeding. You wasn't even actually on the bottle, you were breastfeeding. That
Yeah,
alone is like, wow. I remember going into the toilet and, just having to express the milk. Like,
yeah,
we normalize it, but I think it's extraordinary what some mums are able to do. And
yes,
I really love the fact that you highlighted that the struggle's still real, even if you're a single father or a single mother, because you have those dreams and aspirations. You don't want to give up. You don't want to obviously neglect
yeah,
that you're a parent, but you want to inspire your children. You want them to be able to look back and say, Mum didn't give up or Dad didn't give
yeah,
up, and keep going. So that is such an incredible
yeah,
moment, and so relatable. So relatable. It's so funny when you said about the childcare. It's like, yeah, I get that bit. It's like you're working just to pay the childcare.
yeah.
And then when I'm
Yeah,
thinking back, I remember like holidays. You get the school holidays, and you sort of think, oh, I can take some time off during.
yeah.
They're like, you could take all the
No,
time off. You have to pay for it.
you have to. Yeah, I still have lots of. It's funny because we're laughing looking back, but
Yeah,
those
not
were
not
not
at the
funny
time.
times at
No,
all.
not at the
It,
time.
it is very difficult, but and kudos to you as well. Clearly, I'm sure you have your stories. When we laugh and the silent part of it is like, okay, yeah,
Mm.
we've got a lot to be grateful for. But
It's
yes,
beautiful that we can laugh now, and I think that's the core
yeah,
message. There will come a time, mums that are listening and viewing this, there will come a time where your tears do turn into laughter. It doesn't
yeah,
make sense at the time, and I remember someone giving me advice, and I thought no, but you will get to a time when your tears definitely turn into laughter.
I agree
Thank
completely.
you. So the next question is, what's
Oh,
one part of your story that you feel has gone unheard or unacknowledged?
hmm, that's difficult. Unheard. I think mothers, as a mother, um, we don't we don't take that role thinking we want to be heard. We just take it as it's our task and we are happily doing it. I don't bring it to a personal level. I'm not expecting to be rewarded by anybody, so I don't need to be heard. But
Mm,
I do expect my kids to make me proud by not um, taking the wrong turns in life. So for me, if I can raise you up to become a responsible adult, I'm heard. And that
mm,
is the minimum I would expect. And it's just exciting when you hear your child on expected moments turning around and saying, Mom, I'm so proud of you. And you think,
yeah.
oh, what?
Oh.
And I remember um, my daughter saying to me, oh, Mom, there was this writer that came to our school. I didn't get to meet her because I had a class, but I'd love for you to connect with her. And I thought,
Oh, bless
what?
her.
Like I said, listen to this 12-year-old giving me recommendation. I thought this is me being heard because my daughter is seeing me and seeing my authentic self and saying my mom would connect well with this other person that she obviously sees highly. Um, so I'll probably give that question back to you because my view is motherhood is a calling that we don't take as expecting a trophy from society, but we take that role in this with the pains, and taking all the pains and the joys in silence. So um I think the joy is in seeing your child make you proud.
Oh my gosh. Oh, oh, that's beautiful. I love
Yeah,
that. I love that, just as you were speaking, like seeing the excitement, admiration on your daughter's face, looking at this,
yeah,
but then like saying, oh, my mum's like that. I want to connect them. That's so
yeah.
beautiful. That is
It's,
really lovely. Oh,
it's,
boy. Oh, sugar.
it's
So,
humbling.
yeah, it's so beautiful. It's so lovely. It's the way they look at you and
Yeah,
proud of you. That's so beautiful.
yeah. And
Oh,
it's always amazing because you're either in the kitchen with your face turned the other way, and then you just, oh, by the way, mom, and then you turn around, not knowing what they're going to ask for,
exactly.
whether it's chocolate or something, and then they just tell you something that you're like, oh, did you say that?
Oh, that's priceless. That's
Yeah, it's
absolutely
priceless.
beautiful. Oh. So, the next question I have is, how has motherhood challenged your sense of identity?
Oh, that's a good one. I think definitely has. It has. I don't know, but when I talk to some of the few friends I've had when I was young, and I've had them for years, and they talk about, you've changed, Magda. You're so calm. Like, you know, you were not this forgiving. Like, back then, I had no mercy for anything that would cross my threshold of tolerance. Was really like, no, I'm not taking it. I would tell you my mind, but you somehow change. You become softer. You become more understanding. I would say maybe back then I was young and no mess, no patience, very strict. I thought I came from a strict background, so but I just know it's changed my identity a lot. It's made me more patient. You know what they say? They say if you ask God to give you to there's some expressions around. If you ask God for something, he gives you challenges
Yes,
that would
yes, yes.
build you up. And I think I
I know
definitely
what you
needed
mean.
patience. Yeah, I
Yeah.
definitely needed
It will take
patience.
you
I
through
had
what you need to do in order to get the
to
strength.
build
You
that.
ask for strength.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
So
I
be careful what
definitely
you ask
built
for.
it. Exactly. I did, yeah, I am very, probably too, I've changed a bit too much, too patient. But it's all in a good way. So my identity has changed. I've also learned to be appreciative of people's lives because it's really never a linear journey for any of us. I've known people who came from extremely amazing backgrounds, and the turns in life has been amazing, interesting, and you've met people that equally nothing could have assumed they would be where they are, and it's turned my life into a very humbling journey of appreciating humanity, appreciating people, appreciating the people who speak for us, the people who stand for us, and in fact it also become like a calling that you need to also be that person someone else is looking up to, or someone can look back and say, oh, thanks, Magda, you lifted me by this very little act. You don't know that it transformed me that much, but it just, yeah, you can only give back by giving, paying forward. And I think that has been one of the biggest lessons I've learned through my journey. I had people I have never known come into my life at these pivotal moments, and they became family because they helped me to be able to take on a consulting role and still be able to juggle with work. And I met people at my clients who were so amazing before COVID, who would not normally give you the luxury of working from home. Who knew about working from home during before COVID? I would get that support. So it changed my identity by giving me the chance to appreciate how people, appreciate what what it means to also be sensitive to the needs of others. And being sensitive to the needs of others puts you in a better place to give and pay forward, because nobody's always going to ask you, oh, Magda, by the way, can you help me with this? No, it doesn't normally happen. People who don't even know what they want, but it's you being sensitive to that state they're in. And I think that really has been a transformation for me.
That's such a beautiful response. That's so wholesome. So, so wholesome. And I love the key aspect of paying it forward. Uh,
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you. Can you describe a time when you felt completely unseen and unsupported as a mother?
Oh, so that's a good one. I think it's two things, right? You can either say you felt unseen or unsupported because you felt you had to be given that support, or you because there's a thin line between feeling entitled,
Yes.
because it's motherhood is a calling. You chose that calling, and so you don't feel entitled to being supported, but you feel it would help to make you be a better mother. I think that's so then you don't put the responsibility of motherhood to someone else. By feeling entitled, but rather appreciating the support that will help you to hold that role better. So, in answering that, I would rather say my biggest observation, my journey has been the difficulty of finding yourself as a single parent in the society is really, really challenging. I think again, referring to me wanting to be a working mother and not wanting to raise my kids to see me as a dependent of the state. Um, I felt the society or the government could do more to support women in a category like that, so they can stand and help and be the role models for the next generation who says you found yourself as a single parent, so you've got to be dependent on the state. You don't necessarily need to be dependent on the state. You can get that special support that helps you to grow into your independence. For that, I think more can be done. Absolutely more can be done. And
Yeah.
oh yeah, and then we talked about, the childcare bit.
Yeah.
It's horrible, horrible. When you work hard and everything goes through this to
Yeah.
and they don't even get paid much. The childcare. Had the pleasure of speaking to some of them. It's not like they're absorbing it all. So more can be done for to make that cycle work, right?
Totally agree.
So
Totally agree.
absolutely,
I'm not sure
more
what
can be done.
country, but there's a country in Europe where when a single parent goes on maternity leave, they actually give them the salary of the absent parent, which I thought was quite interesting.
That's
Like,
really good.
it to be such a change, life changing
Yeah,
experience
yeah,
for so many single parents. So um,
yeah,
I'll look into where that is, but I've definitely heard it, but you're spot on.
yeah. That's one area that I will definitely be investing more of my efforts as I go on my personal journey of trying to give back by paying forward. We can make more noise to get the system to address some of these
I
issues.
love that. That is
Yeah.
beautiful. I'm going to watch this space. That sounds amazing.
Yes.
What has been the most rewarding aspect of motherhood?
Oh, I think I love having now they're not babies. I've got a 11-year-old, almost a 13-year-old, and it feels like I'm hanging out with my friends on a good day. And it's really nice it's really fun. I think that's the one of the most rewarding, watching them change and transform. You think,
Mm,
oh my God. And I love when I have to ask them for advice, and the kind
oh,
of
they're
advice they
brilliant.
come and give you, you think, okay. So that definitely warms my heart. I just love hanging out with my kids. It's yeah, someone should have told me before, look out for this one. It'll be amazing.
Oh, that's so precious. I love
Yeah, it's really
that. And they got words of wisdom because they just spend their lives watching you. They really watch everything
yeah.
They know your weaknesses, your strengths. They know better than you because they just watch.
They do.
It's
Yes.
amazing.
It's
Absolutely.
amazing how my daughter would say, Mom, are you upset? I'm like, no. So you've
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
that face when you're upset. I'm thinking, really? I've got a face when I'm upset. And it turns out that just 2 seconds before I was thinking about something that was making me upset. Nothing to do with her, but
Yeah.
she picked up on that. Oh wow.
So true. Mums listening to this and viewing this, if you haven't done it already, when you're out and about, just use your peripheral view and watch like how much they look at you. I know I do it a lot now.
Yeah.
Catch them, they will constantly watch you and they will gauge, they
Yeah.
know, they just sense everything. So you're spot on.
Everything.
Yeah, thanks for that. That's brilliant.
Oh.
Advice would you give to your younger self about before becoming a mother?
Hmm. Could I? I think the journey of motherhood for me, I would say was a journey of exploration. It wouldn't be fun if it wasn't exploration, if it wasn't like um, a surprise every day. I think it would be too scripted. So, so if I was to give myself advice for my younger self, it wouldn't be about motherhood per se. I think it would be about being better prepared.
Mm,
Mind you, I had already had my master's degree before I started having kids. So it's not even about education, but
mhm.
it's a psychological thing to be prepared for the worst and hope for the best. So that way you can navigate those lows much quicker and faster and bolder, knowing that it's only part of the journey and
Mm,
it would only it can only get better, right? And it did get better, and I'm super grateful for that low, even though back then it didn't sound and it didn't feel exciting,
yeah,
and I know I look back and I can give back to others with more confidence. But I would rather say it's more the psychological preparedness, knowing that you've got kids relying on you and they don't know any better. So then they need you emotionally sound.
yes,
That would be very much important, I think.
they do.
Um, that piece, you knowing that your loss does not mean your child's loss. And
Absolutely.
thankfully, I have a family that has been supportive,
That's beautiful.
and it's it's amazing to meet people I never thought I would meet to be people I consider as family, and then get to a point where others are also dependent on you, and you think, wow, I never thought I would be here, or someone I can also give to someone. So I would say it's more that psychological strength or preparedness
I
is what
love
I'll
that.
give my younger self.
I love the fact that you've pointed to psychological preparedness. There are actually scientific facts that proves that the biggest determining factor for a child's happiness is their mother's happiness.
Yeah, that
So
is very
I
true.
really love that you're highlighting
Yeah,
the mums. Really, really.
yeah. And I think being honest with our kids is very important as well. Not brutally honest, but honest enough that they can appreciate and learn from your life sooner than later. I think it's a gift in itself. So your lows shouldn't tend to their lows. That should be a strength for them, something they can leverage.
I love
How you
that.
do that is you understanding that you need to provide that lesson to them so they can keep in their bags, right? To dwell on, to leverage at some point in their lives, rather than bringing them to a low they don't deserve to be just because you're at a low. Did I explain what I was trying to say? Did I explain that?
Absolutely. No,
Good.
you're sharing your heart. And I think there's no right or wrong way of doing this. It's not an
Yeah.
examination. You're just sharing your heart, your journey, your perspective.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
you
It's
know.
more about, am I making the message
You're making
clear?
sense. It makes
Because
sense. Yeah.
it's not about you telling them what upset you, it's telling them what they should look out for in life. So
The lesson
a
from the struggle. Yeah,
lesson rather.
exactly.
Yeah.
Package it into a bite-sized format that is a teachable moment. So I love that. I really, and I love the fact that you're saying don't hide the process from them. It's
Yeah,
really important to they recognize that there was a teachable lesson, not just mum was sad.
absolutely.
What is the teachable lesson from that? And from that, they can gather some strength and momentum that can fuel their
Yeah.
families. That's amazing. So that's why your daughter says, no, it's okay,
Love it.
you.
Yeah.
Beautiful, really nice. So next question is, how do you balance the emotional weight that comes, how do you balance the emotional weight of being a mother alongside pursuing your own dreams and aspirations?
I don't think I balance.
You sound like me in the beginning. I was like, I'm a hot mess.
I don't
It's no
I don't
balance.
know if I balance anything. I only know that I've
Well,
crushed
such a
when
beautiful
I thought,
Queen's Award. You've done like you do incredible stuff. You balance. You were, studying while breastfeeding. You balance well. It feels like a hot mess at the time.
well, my mentor told me last week, Magda, I think you need to just take a few goals at a time. And that's because I think I only realized I've hit my limit when I crash and I fall ill or something, and I think I can't do anything anymore. And partly also because I'm a natural proper introvert, and I've had to over time learn to build these extrovert skills. So when I crash, it's because I'm done with I've used up all my energy and I really need to go find myself again. So it's a very good question, which almost turns into a lesson for me or a checkpoint for me, because I would say the best approach is for me to set out realistic goals because I love to see things happen. And I get excited when something is gonna be transformational. I love it. So I go all out without realizing I need to also kind of look after myself.
Exactly.
Um, but I I think it's important we do that. We do check in on ourselves. And oh yeah, I could also say one of the things I've done a bit well in the last few years has been to take weekend aways, long weekend aways quarterly, just for me to check in on myself and just relax, do the stuff I love to do. Um, yeah, so that has been good.
Amazing.
And by saying do what I love to do, I mean outside of work and all the busy stuff. It's nice to just take time away from the
So
laptop and
important.
all of that.
So,
Yeah,
so
that has been good.
as you said that, actually, I've not mentioned this on this podcast, but as you was talking, you reminded me that a few years back, Lachey created a brand for me, and it was a message to
Oh,
me, and it's called 15 for Me. And
oh,
there's a book that we're going to write together that accompanies it, but it's flashcards. And it's just exactly like similar to what you're saying. So some mums have busy lifestyles and they don't have time to go for a walk because there's no one that can watch the kids, or there's so much they can do. Like realistically, it's like I can't find the time. But 15 for me is just like reading for 15 minutes while you're washing the dishes, like just doing
yeah,
affirmations for 15 minutes, because everyone's kind of separation from the chaos is different. So this
yes,
affirmation cards is just about mum, just grab 15 for me, 15 minutes to breathe, open the garden, just take some fresh air, because it's so important. And it's about that accumulative habit. When we actually do 15 minutes a day, we get into that space where we've exercised the muscle, and that 15 minutes can turn into half an hour or an hour. But it's just important to carve out that time. So thank you. And I love the fact that you're saying we don't need to wait to the burnout as the tap out.
yeah.
That happens a lot. It's very easy to get into that cycle. So thanks for highlighting that.
I love 15 minutes. 15 minutes is just all I need
Yeah,
because
exactly.
it doesn't need to be an hour, right? But it
Yeah.
does set you up for wanting more or being
There's a
ready
lot
for the
that you
rest.
can do. You might want to
Yeah,
read scripture, you might want to
yeah,
pray, you might want
yeah,
to go into a room and just sit there and just like let everything settle for 15 minutes. It's very sacred, especially when you're just used to going back to back, jumping in a meeting, jumping with clients, it's back.
yeah. Saying that, I think one of the things I would definitely not be doing into the future is that rushed life. It's absolutely a killer,
The silent
and
killer,
for our
absolutely.
society, it's very unhealthy.
Yeah.
And it's about time we define for ourselves what success means, and not necessarily needing to toe the line or being in trying to justify yourself to
Absolutely.
anybody.
Absolutely. And the good old diary, any mum that's listening to this and you operate your life through a diary, carve out some time in the diary. That's also an appointment. That's an appointment with yourself. So thanks for raising that, Magda. Really nice. Next question is, can you share a lesson that you've learned from your mother or a mother figure in your life that's shaped how you parent today?
Hmm, mothers. Yeah, I think a lesson, a big one, is my faith. Is definitely integral and everything. It's encompassing my entire life, like why we're on this earth, why we find ourselves taking certain roles or being in certain situations. So being a mother is a calling by the divine, if you call it a divine by God, in my case. So it's an ownership of a calling and a task. So taking that on is a blessing in itself. And I love that piece about my mom. Um, and I love the idea of um, what being a Christian also is. So then you see things with a different light, or in a different light from how you'd love to see it when you're very upset. So having that forgiving spirit, and actually I love the patience that my mom carries with her on everything. Like that confident, soft spoken, but strong matriarch she is, I think does define what I see to be what motherhood should be. Yeah.
Wow. I love that. And I love the foundation of the faith because that really gets you through the journey of motherhood. One thing
Yeah.
I really love about your responses, you keep reminding us of the essence that motherhood is a calling. I love that
Yeah.
reminder of motherhood is a calling. And with motherhood comes the sacrifices, the tears, the triumphs, it's all aspects. You will have the joyful days, but you will have the sad days, and it's all encompassing.
Yeah.
I love that you keep saying that motherhood is a calling. That just frames everything in such a beautiful way. Keep going,
Yeah.
keep going. It's something that we ask for. Motherhood, we all arrive at motherhood differently, and I say that
Yeah.
respectfully for the listeners
Absolutely.
because we do all arrive at motherhood differently. But I love the fact that motherhood is a calling. That you keep saying it, and I'm loving that common theme.
Subconsciously as
Yeah,
well.
so beautiful, really lovely. So my next question is, how do you define success as a mother?
Hmm. So I think my definition of success, I can never be the type of person who marks their own exams. So I cannot say. I wrote it, I define the questions and I mark it. I think your success is what people say about you. It's what your kids see you. It's how it's what you is the feedback you're getting. And it's reassuring when you're I when I talk to my daughter's house parent at school, and I talk to the nurse at the infirmary when my daughter needs to go there sometimes, and she goes, "Your daughter loves you, and your daughter speaks so
Oh,
highly of you. Your daughter talks about what you do, and you're doing this for women." And I'm thinking, what? She doesn't tell me that. Like, but it's so beautiful that she's expressing it out there with so much pride. So that means she's identifying herself with what I am passionate about. And I think it also means if I was making wrong decisions, my kids would be identifying with it as if it was okay because that's you're their role model. So so far, my kids are still young, and if I said success at this point, it would be definitely how they turn it out to be and what they're saying and what they're seeing and what they. I love it when I ask them questions like, "Do you asking them to define what is right and wrong and seeing them tell you what they see to be right and what they see to be wrong. And you think, okay, that's good. That means it's coming from you and it tells me you have a clear sense of integrity and a good judgment. For me, that it means I think at that age of 10 to 12 or the cusp of the teenage, um, that's where it should be. That's how it should be. So um, playing it back, it's not me defining what success is. It's me seeing and hearing what people say and what the kids are doing it and then the expectation of what is right and wrong. I think that's the best way to put it at this point.
Beautiful. And it's so special to hear that your daughter carries you in her heart when she's away at school. To think that space is for her to share
Yeah,
journeys or thoughts, and all the while she's speaking about her mother, how much she loves,
yeah.
proud of you. That's so amazing. So
I'm
beautiful.
sure you have the same. You're amazing as well. But
It's
it's. I think
gorgeous.
this is the best part because, like we talked about the painful parts, right?
Yeah. We have lots of
we
that.
should we should be allowed to celebrate the nice part when we see that wow, those nights of nappy changing and breastfeeding, and then
Exactly.
you see this child and you're like, oh wow, my son is like a young gentleman. it,
Oh,
it makes you cry in your heart, but it's just tears
yeah,
of joy. So
exactly.
I think, yeah, with all humility, I think the success more is to do with how they turn out, really.
That's beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah.
I love the analogy you gave, though. I don't write my own questions and then answer my own exam. I think I love that. I really like the way you phrase that. Right. So the next question is, if you could rewrite any part of your motherhood journey, what would you edit, if anything?
Cry less. I would have cried less. I would have cried less. Oh God. I would have cried less when I was going through divorce and with a baby. I was still pregnant when I got separated from my ex. So it was really hard, very hard times.
Yeah.
When there were times when you thought, okay, like you thought you did everything right. From my culture, as a woman, you have to have some morals, and you thought you did everything right. It turns out that you just never knew who you were marrying until you got married, and the world turns upside down, and you find yourself in hospital holding a baby alone, and you think, what? Even if I was back home, I would have had tons of people around me taking care of me. How could I find myself like this? Um, But again, we find strength in our weakness. And I don't say that lightly. I don't say that lightly at all. If I was able to come out of that point, yeah, then the sky's the limit.
You
And
can
that's
do
how I see
anything.
it. So I would rather say I would have cried less, knowing that it was actually all for a greater good.
Do you know, I'm so glad that you felt comfortable to speak into that, because there are so many mothers that will find themselves in a similar direction.
Yeah.
And what I really loved is how you coupled that if I was back home, the village would be there, the community would,
Yeah,
and that
totally.
being away from home is like it is so surreal that there's so much loneliness, there's so much
Yes.
separation, so many people are busy, everyone's just trying to keep their life going, so there's so many mothers that end up there on their own, and it's like I never would have imagined that this is how it
Yes.
would work out, but this is what
Yeah.
it is, and I just have to do my best. And I think there's such strength the way you've articulated that. You've actually communicated so many lessons without maybe understanding.
Exactly.
It's so
Yeah,
beautiful. So yeah, thank you for that.
thank you.
So how has societal pressures influenced the way you view and approach motherhood?
Societal pressures. Hmm. I don't I don't follow societal pressures. I still carry my stubbornness, by the way, even though I told you I told you I changed a bit. Mother would change me, but I still have my own principles and I go by them. So if I had followed societal pressures, I would have been I wouldn't be who I am. I can tell you that for sure. I would have taken the route that was easy. I could have, yeah, just done it without putting the burden on myself to go fend for myself and earn an honest living. I would have taken that easier route. I didn't I
Yeah.
didn't think that was the right route for me. So I don't think I've allowed societal pressures to have its way and probably all for the better. But I think what I would say is society needs to be kind. We need to be kind. Um, we really need to be supportive. Some spaces does not make it easy for the me 8 years ago, 9 years ago to thrive. So you almost need to turn from being a woman and being a man in a woman to be able to survive to get to where you want to get to. It and I mentioned to you I'm taking a bit of a career break and I'm allowing myself to go back into my proper feminine space because I'm
Oh,
realizing I've just allowed the male hormone too much of it. And you just realize society is because of society, but you can still be that successful person in your true femininity. So how do we do that? I think we can all own up to this, that more can be done. More can be done.
do you know what? What your answers actually reminded me of a conversation I had yesterday with a few mums, and so many mothers were saying that I'm in my masculine energy. My cortisol
Yeah.
levels are so high. And I remember a mum saying that they felt guilty, and that they're overprotective. And one of the things that dropped into my spirit was that a mother is only in her masculine energy when there's a threat. And if she's in an
Yes.
environment where she feels safe and she feels taken care of and she feels relaxed of the threat, that even if there is a threat, the village, the family, the husband,
Yeah.
she can still relax into that. So I said, instead of her carrying that burden, why don't she surrender to the fact and the reality that she wasn't protected? She wasn't allowed to be in her feminine.
Yeah.
You know,
You've said it.
we tap into that when we feel safe.
Yeah.
Because if I need to fight, I can't be like, oh, hi, I'm going to protect my children. And you can't be in your soft energy when you need to defend your family,
No.
when you need to be the breadwinner, when you need to be everything. You can only
Yeah.
do that when the threat has gone.
Yes. You've said it so well. Um, who are the people protecting the women? Who are the people really looking out for? Like, where? Who are the people making sure there is a good balance
Absolutely.
in the society and everyone can be comfortable in being their true, authentic self?
Absolutely.
I think, yeah, you've just said something that it's a conversation on its own.
Mm. I'm glad, because I think that we
Yeah,
need to stop carrying the baggage of what everyone else tells us we must, and the reality
yeah,
there is cause and effect. And I think we won't be in our masculine if we actually feel taken care of. So thank
yeah,
thanks for reminding me about that. Thank you so much.
yeah, me too.
Next question is, what role has community played in your journey, whether it's been a source of support or something that you struggled with?
Um, Community is a big thing for me. I had amazing people, like I mentioned, at different stages who came into my life when I needed them for a particular role. to either help me as for childcare, and they turn out to become my family members now. So it's just amazing that it it really, no matter where you find yourself, and I'm saying that because I find myself far from my true the family that birthed me and raised me. So you feel as very kind of separated, and you need to create a community.
Yes.
And I did find amazing community where I am, and it also led me to think, well, our success is partly defined by our environment. So having the right support goes a long way, bless you,
Well,
to
thank you.
ensure that we ensure that we can fulfill and actually realize our true potential. It's interesting when you're having a conversation, even in this podcast, and you're bouncing off each other, and something you've not really thought about but was somewhere in the subconscious pops up based
Yes.
on what the other person says. And that's what community is meant to be. So in the right
Absolutely.
environment, your your authentic self comes out, what you're meant to be comes out, what your true abilities also comes out. So it's so important, community, not just for motherhood, but even for not just for motherhood or for children, but for just for everyone. Yeah,
Own ecosystem, isn't it?
it is.
Everybody.
Yeah,
I love that.
yeah,
I love that stimulation of that interaction, because also a lot of mums say that if they've raised their children in isolation, it's raising kids, going to work, and they don't get contact with adults for their personal nurturing and re-energizing.
yeah,
So what you're saying is so important. That activation of thoughts that would just remain in your subconscious had you not had those conversations in the.
yes.
So thank you so much. Next question is, how do you cope with the guilt and doubts that come with motherhood?
Um, do I have guilt? Oh, I only have guilt of hiding the chocolates so they don't know where it is. Oh, and then they find it, and then you have to find a new hideout. But doubts, I think those were probably in the earlier years.
Mm,
Um, but fears, yes, I would say fears. I
yeah.
wouldn't say so much guilt or doubt, but fears. Fears is always the part that is real, is the unknown. It's the what ifs.
Mm,
And yes, I do have them. I do have them a lot. But I think breaking them down into sizes that you can address, and accepting the what ifs within reason is what makes it easier. And I'm only speaking like this because of the years of having to address fears. So if you can break it down and address and then kind of see what you can do about those fears, and also thinking about those what ifs and how you can, you know, take the sting of it
mm,
psychologically and, you know, of course physically where possible, then it makes it a lot easier. So I think it's more fears than doubt. I think that, and of course leaning on your motherly, um, I would say, senses. It's incredible building that skill, because I think it's a gift women have. Your instincts are at a different level when it comes to your children. And I've had days where I remember I would just say, "Oh, I'm not going to the office today. I just don't feel like going." And then by 12, I'm being told, "Oh, you need to pick up your son because as soon as he had lunch, instead of waiting to let the food digest, he goes round playing at the playground, and then he throws up." And you know the schools say pick the child up for 48 hours, and you think, why did I think I shouldn't go to the office again?
exactly that. Women's
um,
intuition is beautiful, never ignore it.
yeah,
Absolutely beautiful. I love the example you've given. That is so true. Something just feels off. Something just feels like,
yeah,
and then all of a sudden it pops up. You're like, wow, okay.
Yeah, and then I think that's another way of, I think, God compensating us or giving us what kind of empowering us to be able to, raise these children the way they should be raised.
Well, we
So
do we do
yeah,
have a womb. We connect the spiritual to the physical.
yeah,
Saying that women are not natural, we're supernatural. So they always say if you don't tell a woman something, she'll dream about it. So we have a special connection to that realm, the
that's
unseen,
true.
the not knowing.
Yeah,
It just happens. I always say to women, trust your intuition. My sons as well, like my sons and daughters, I always say, never second guess that gut feeling, the
that's
intuition.
true.
It's
Yeah,
never wrong, never ever wrong.
yeah, yeah,
So I
yeah.
love that example you gave.
I love that. Yeah.
So the next question is, what do you wish people understood about the emotional labor that motherhood brings?
Well, they should understand. I think, um, I think if I would say the leadership in companies, in government, they would all stand up for women, for mothers, and supporting them the right way, we would go really far. I've heard stories of employment being, people being prevented employment because they're mothers or because they are at childbearing age or they are pregnant. And you think, do you know that you've actually affected not just that woman, but many, many, many? Because we're not solving an individual problem, we're solving a global problem. And shutting women down, shutting mothers down, we're doing ourselves a disservice. So I would directly say there is more accountability and I would expect that our society um, can do to make things better for mothers, for women, for single mothers, single parents. Again, I have to say I'm not excluding single fathers because I know the ones that are doing amazing, amazing jobs. So it's just about acknowledging that giving and equipping parents with the right support so they can raise their children with in the psychological health they need. It goes a long way to prepare those children and the next generation as well. And I'm happy to take that question a direct way, but indirect way, but that's just my thinking. Is the accountability on our society. Most of our challenges, psychologically, emotionally, it's all coming back to the society and the rules that has been set and what we are having to live with, and it's just so stressful. But people think, well, there's no other option. You take it like that. But what if we can say, no, this is actually really bad. Let's address it and address it properly.
You really are a voice for those that don't know how to speak. You really are. I get a sense of all of that I know about the platforms you're developing. You really are speaking for those that haven't had the chance to speak. So thank you for that. Really beautifully put. And I could feel the passion coming through.
Yeah.
I really feel that.
Thank you.
Beautiful. So the next question is, what legacy do you hope to leave behind for your children?
Oh, legacy. I think, oh, can I say this? I love tech, right? And I was saying to my kids, I'm gonna start a tech consultancy. My daughter was like, that's not for me. I was like, okay. I was like, okay.
I love that. Kids
But
make me laugh. That's your thing, not my thing.
but it's actually funny. But I think the true legacy is the life is what they remember you for. Is you being if they were to look back in so when they grow up and they have difficult moments or any time they need to make a decision and they think, what would my mom do in this situation? And they can make the right decision based on that. I think I've done my job. It's not about my company being handed over. It's about you raising them to be the best version of themselves. This is the first thing, but also that they see you as the role model. They cannot let you down, and they would love to do at the very minimum like you. And where you could have failed, they would rather do better. So the legacy would be them being in the position to do better than me.
Love that. That's beautiful. What a beautiful legacy. How has motherhood transformed your relationships, whether that's with a partner, friends, or family?
Again, it's made me more sensitive to people. It's made me more appreciative of life is so dynamic. It's um it's a humbling journey. And I'm always excited when I can say, whoa, that difficult experience has allowed me to help this person so they can, be stronger or do better. I think for me, that's important. Um, so yeah.
Beautiful. What has been the most unexpected lesson that you've learned from your children?
Oh.
Oh, you're so funny.
My daughter. Oh, unexpected lesson. Oh, see, this is interesting. You know, when your kids turn back and tell you, oh, but mom, I saw you do this one.
Oh,
So why
yeah.
can't I? So you're like, I did that, so you can do that.
It's funny. Do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah. Oh, it's actually really funny, I love my chocolate, I have to say. So I I have my stash in this cabinet, and when you
You
just
speak
relax
about chocolate the way I feel about chocolate. I love it.
and I'm just relaxed in my bed and I'm having my chocolate,
Oh,
and
no.
you and my daughter will pop in, or my son, and he goes, "Can I have some?" It's like, "Yeah, you can have some, but when you finish, go brush your teeth." And he goes, "But you didn't brush your teeth." Right? Yeah, but I am allowed.
Oh, that's so funny.
Oh my God. I think
Oh.
these are the things. It's like it sounds like nothing, but basically they're trying to tell you that they're looking at you and they're modeling after you.
We're not allowed
So
to talk about this. It's a bit too personal for me.
so I
Oh,
think that's the bit that is like, okay, I need to watch you guys because
yeah.
yeah, I think that's one big lesson. And I think it's also in a humbling way, it's also me checking in on myself regularly because they help you keep on your toes, if that's the right expression. I've also learned to be more sensitive to them, especially as they get into the teen age and they're less likely to want to talk, and you want to teach them to
Mm.
express themselves. And you realize you need to actually be a bit more patient at this stage because they're not blurting it out. They're
Oh,
processing these emotions and they're deciding which part of it they should share with you.
mm.
And yeah, and I think that is a big one. So I'm on my own journey because um it's it's special to be a mother. You learn every day.
Absolutely. And I love what you said about the teenage stages. They like the shutting down, the quieting, the
Yeah,
internalization. And I think that's really where the community is so needed because sometimes they don't want to tell mum because there's a lot of this shame and embarrassment or fear of getting
yeah.
or fear of being judged. So it's really important to have different as people around that they can tell to and then they can tell you and then you're like, oh, okay. So
Yeah, that's actually very true. It goes a long way when you have another parent who's handled what you've handled already,
exactly.
probably by a few years, telling you, "Oh yeah, look out for this," and you're like, "Oh, thank you." It's almost like you're helping me already. Yeah, actually that helps a lot. Helps
Exactly.
a lot. Yeah.
So the next one is if you could change one thing about how society and supports mothers, what would it be? You've touched on it, but it's kind of a direct question.
Yeah, I think society is in at different levels. Community level, I think we should be less judgmental. We should be more understanding and supportive because it's just even the story is not really what it would look like. So when someone is going through a situation, they might not have told you even a tenth of what it really is. So you've got to be a bit more less quick, less not to be quick to judge. It's very important. At a government level, I think our policies can improve um, to make things better because what we don't realize is policies that has to do with families and parenting, it has long-term impacts. Long term. So when you have governments that are looking at the immediate value in terms of financial returns, we miss out on all the other bits, children being impacted psychologically, emotionally, and all of that. You're looking at the long-term cost of trying to correct situations that could have been corrected by giving the parent the right support at the right time.
Wow, should be running for MP. That's absolutely brilliant. So, so true.
Thank you.
So, so true. Thank you for that. Next one. What's the most misunderstood part of the motherhood journey?
Ooh, misunderstood. Misunderstood by me as a mother or by society? If it's by me, I would say misunderstood is like being aware of you've put yourself into, which is you are now fully responsible for another life or lives, and coming to terms with that can be shocking for some people, and depending on the circumstance and the support you have, that could be even more like you might have to play catch up at some point. um Misunderstood, yeah, I think it can be difficult. It can be really difficult because there's you as an individual, there's so much you haven't even understood of yourself. And you're navigating that even as part of your own life journey. So is it can be more of you realizing the responsibility that you have as a parent. And for the society, is also like the society has transformed and it keeps transforming, and we need to take accountability of what we're defining as okay or as not okay. So there's two sides to it, right? It's the society plus the individual, but we all play part of the society anyway. So yeah.
Well said. Absolutely well said. You've really been able to paint a really good picture of what the struggle is, but also how we can weave ourselves a pathway that's going to be beneficial for the whole of society.
Yeah, and these are very interesting questions, really powerful questions. So good.
Beautiful. Really glad to hear that. Next question is, how has motherhood changed your perspective on yourself, your goals, and your life in general?
Oh, right. So I wanted to do law when I finished my
Oh,
master's because I really love law. Um, so I told you there was that time where I had to decide on upgrading my skills so I can better support my kids financially. And I would have loved to do law, but obviously the time required to do it, the cost involved wouldn't have allowed me to.
mm,
So it meant that since I also loved mathematics and I loved statistics and I had a master's degree, I could upgrade and do the data science and then moved into the data science space. So whilst I still enjoy that path and it does not stop me from doing law at some point, which I would definitely do, it was a it did it was that decision was affected or was heavily dependent on my state at the time, which was as a parent. So yes, it did affect that. Did I answer your question fully?
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Magda, you're doing an amazing job. I just want to thank you for making it this far. We're almost there. So
Thank
my
you.
welcome. My next question is, who were you before you became a mum?
Oh, I think before I became a mum, yeah, I think at that point, all those years, it was all about education. It was all about, you know, uh, more like you were a daughter. You were a daughter of parents who were pouring into you and trusting you to make the best of the opportunities that they gave you, even based on their limited resources. So I would say before I became a mom, it was all about me making my parents proud, um, studying, finding myself. I love the fact that I always say my dad, who's just turned 80, he's nothing like his generation in the sense that he never kind of imposed on upon me. He would say, "What do you want to study? Where do you want to study?" It was all about what you want to do, not I want you to be a doctor. I want you to be a lawyer. I don't think it wasn't like that. So I think it gave me the freedom to just explore. And by that I'm saying my first degree, I was like, oh, I love languages. I'm going to do French and Spanish. And then my master's degree, I was like, oh, I love math. I'm going to do econometrics. So from languages, for my first degree, I felt bold enough to go and do economics and specialize in econometrics. And I remember speaking to the professor in the department, and he goes, you did languages. You've not done a degree in maths or statistics. How are you going to do this? And I said, I can. And I just look back now and I'm thinking it's because my dad had made me feel that empowered. I had no limited beliefs about what I can do and what I can't do. So he goes, okay, then I'm gonna let you do this exams, and then if you pass, then I'm assured that you can do the masters in econometrics. So I was like, okay. And then he goes, you can reference these materials and then prepare. And I got it and I got the masters and I passed that exams. So again, I think back to the question, who was I? I was a child, I was a daughter of a loving family parent who were giving me all the support I needed so I can define who I wanted to be rather than them defining who I want to be. So by that lesson, I think it's now for me to do the same for my kids and also those who come, who I get the chance um to meet in life as well.
Your response was so beautiful. I love the fact that you said you chose languages because you love languages, so you were just full into it. But then you were like, let me just dive into something different. And even the
Yeah,
university was confused, like you haven't done this, because I can. I
yeah,
love the way you responded.
yeah.
That's so beautiful. And you saying that your parents instilling, particularly your father instilling that in you, that you can do anything. So you had no doubt that you could do it.
No,
Knew you had
yeah,
so much confidence in yourself. That's
yeah.
amazing. That's amazing. I love that. It's so beautiful.
Thank you.
So the next question I have is, what's the gift of motherhood?
Oh, that's a good question. I think it builds nicely from the previous question because I talked about before being a mother, I was a daughter, and my parents were pouring into me. Now, the gift of motherhood, I would say, is the opposite. This is the gift of pouring into others,
Mm,
of being the one that looks out for others, make sure they're safe, make sure they are cared for. You don't think about yourself first. The gift of motherhood for me was having the opportunity to discover the other side of me that wasn't the receiving side, but the giving side. So the side that gives, the side that wants to empower others, the side that wants to nurture. So that is a real gift because had I not become a mother, I probably would never have discovered that I had the capacity to pour into others. And yeah, I think that's the simple answer. If you want a lengthy one,
that's not
I could give
simple.
you,
That's
but I think that's the
beautiful. That's beautiful. Do you know what I really love is that you explain such a beautiful essence of life. There's a season for receiving, and we
Yes,
receive the love, we receive the guidance, and all of that confidence. The way you beautifully put it, but then there's a season for giving. And as you become a
exactly.
mother, I love that you said you didn't realize your capacity to give until
To
you
give.
became a mother. That's so beautiful.
Yeah,
I love that.
yeah.
Really
I
beautiful.
think it's humbling in many respects to be put in the position of empowering others, supporting others, nurturing others. And I'm saying this so it's not only about mothers who are maternal, as in biological mothers, but we are mothers in the capacity of leadership as a female leader. And in the capacity of a male leader, you're still a nurturer. So by that, um, the mantle is given to you in all those capacities. If you're given the chance to lead others in a work setting, it's a privilege and it's an opportunity to nurture others.
Do you know, Magda, I love what you've just done now, adding the aspect at the end where you connected that once you start being the nurturer, the leader, the giver, you don't just give to your own children, you give out work,
No,
you give that in society.
yeah,
It becomes something that's added to you, like a life skill.
yeah, exactly.
Beautiful. I love that. So when you're mothering everywhere, not just at home. I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, yeah.
Well said. So a couple of light-hearted questions here. So the first one is, if your children were to write a book about you, what would the title be? You could do both together
Oh,
or one each if you like.
my daughter and my, well, I don't know. It's hard to say. It's hard to say because maybe they would say mommy's always winding us up. Because I love that time when we just wind them up. And I love the
Mummy's always winding us up. I like that one.
yeah,
I do like that. I'm laughing.
yeah.
I'm not laughing at you. I'm actually laughing because we're very similar. I went out to two PR events yesterday with Lachey,
Oh,
and I was winding her up, and I felt really bad. And she was like, "Mum, behave yourself."
yeah. I love those moments because it's lovely that way.
Mhm.
It's lovely to bring the I
Playful
think it
side,
builds
isn't it?
friendship as well because we need to bond with our children, but it shouldn't be so much like as defined as a mother
Mm.
son, mother daughter, but bringing that friendship as well. So I love those moments.
I love that. That is so funny. You might want to
Don't
write
take
that
us
book.
so seriously.
Mummy's always winding us up 10 things mummy does all the time.
Yeah.
It's really funny. The next question I have is, what's your funniest mum fail moment?
Hmm. Oh, that's interesting. So I don't know if you've got those moments with the kids when they start thinking they're smarter than you. Actually, they are smarter than us. And you say something and they actually want to correct you. And I, I think I have a lot of that these days, especially with my son. Because, because they tend to be right and accurate, as accurate can be. And you just think, okay, well, I've got to just accept it. You're right. I've got to just accept it. You're right.
You're
Yes, I
funny. You
appreciate
asked, have I had any of those moments? I have plenty of those moments. I'm
But I think
often
the
there.
kids love it as well because it also gives them that boldness that well they can speak up what they think
Yes.
if they think it's right they should be able to say it. And I love those moments when oh I would tell one off and I would want the other one because I've got two kids to kind of support me and I would be like, what do you think about what this person did? And he goes, I don't want to get involved. You're like,
That's interesting
meaning
to that
they
age.
want to
Yeah.
side with each other. And so clearly I'm the third person here. Okay.
That's a success, I think. When my children was little, you reminded me of something. I remember I used to give them treats for supporting the other one that was in trouble. Like if
Oh, that's
had done
good.
something wrong, because I wanted them
Yeah.
to bond as siblings, if that made sense. I
Yeah.
felt that it was really important that if they built that strong bond, and then they could kind of go against mummy, they liked that when they were little, they thought it was funny. So
Yeah.
I would
But
reward
that's
them
powerful.
so they can say,
Yeah.
oh, could you give them another chance? I think there's something
Yes.
instinctively important that they
Yeah.
stick together in life. Not going to
Yeah.
live
Yeah.
forever. So
Yeah, and I actually do appreciate that. You've said it really well because it all starts from the home, right? Building that bond, that relationship. It starts from that siblings interaction.
mm,
Yeah. So
it's priceless. It's
it's
priceless
very
having siblings.
important that, yeah, even if it's at your expense.
Yeah, exactly. But I know what you mean. I've actually had those experiences saying, "Oh, mum,"
Exactly.
and I'm said, "You're the oldest. You have to be involved." What do you mean?
Like, I don't want to get involved. And then later on, you find that the other one goes to the other one's room and they just
Yeah,
talking at a low tone and
yeah,
they're still talking about the same thing. And at that point, she's probably telling him, well, what you did wasn't right, but in a way that he understands. And I don't get involved, and I can just tell that they're still finding their way of still
yes.
doing what I would have wanted them to do, but not in my presence, which is really powerful. It's
That's
funny,
really
but it's cute
powerful.
at the same time.
Really powerful. It's beautiful. So the next question I have is, what is your hideout place when you need a bit of a break? Where do
A
you?
break. Hmm. So, two things. One is my chocolate addiction has never failed me. It has really never failed me. I think the chemicals in there does it for me. So I always have a stash of it in my cabinet in my room. And it's not meant to be for them to find it, but somehow they find the hideout and I need to move it. I need to change the hideout. But yeah, I think it's healing for me when it's now everybody's gone to bed and I'm now in my room and I can just pull a bar of chocolate. It's my moment. It's like, okay, like perfect days. Or I do a weekend away. I started a weekend away a couple of years ago because I realized it's actually healthy as a an individual to take some time away from the normal environment where everything's happening and just switch off. Just allow yourself to think outside the box. Not really thinking because it will all come naturally to you just by being outside of the box. So I wouldn't recommend that enough. I think it's very, very healthy.
That's a really good idea, actually. It's lovely. Definitely
Yeah.
chocolate. Chocolate ticks the box. And now I have some justification. I can show that clip to my children and say, look, see, it's not just me.
Yes.
They're trying to get me off my chocolate. I'm like, no, leave my chocolate.
No. Yes.
No, you can take everything else, but just the chocolate.
Natural therapy, natural therapy.
Exactly. Thank you for that.
You're
So,
welcome.
what's the most unexpected thing that you found in your child's backpack or pocket as they were growing up?
Hmm. So So one incident happened where, like recently, where my son was just about to leave for school, and then as he gets out of the building, I was like, "Why is your jacket pocket so full?" And he goes, "Oh, I don't know." And then as he puts his hand in, he pulls out the pair of socks he was wearing yesterday, and I'm like, "What? Like, when did you take that off? Because if you took it off when you were home, then it should have been your jacket pocket. You know, jacket pocket?
Oh,
That's
no.
the first thing you hung out your jacket. And he didn't sound surprised. It didn't look surprising to him as it was to me. And I was like, okay, now I understand why the socks is like they somehow ran out of socks. And it,
Oh, stop
it
it,
landed
Magda. You need to
everywhere,
stop.
anywhere.
That is such a classical boy. I've got three sons, and I can definitely attest to that. And they're just looking at you, thinking, "Why are you surprised?"
Right, exactly. Like goes on. There's nothing.
Oh, that's funny. You're making me laugh too much. Yeah, that's really funny.
Boys are so unique and
Yeah,
different.
I
Like
love
just
that. They're unique. They are.
chilled life,
My daughters
chilled
just look
life.
at them and like, huh?
Yeah,
Oh, it's so brilliant.
Oh,
And the worst thing, because they've got brothers, I've got three sons, and they sort of like egg each other on and they're like smiling. And me and my daughters are looking at them thinking, You're just unique."
I can imagine.
Oh, thank you for that memory. That is so true. Oh, God, making me laugh too much. So the next question
Oh,
I have is, if our community of listeners could support you in three transformative ways, what would you ask for?
hmm. So 3 ways, I would say, um, it all starts from humble, let's say humble beginnings. Don't look far. Look around you and try to be that supportive person that someone needs. Don't overdo it as a start. I have this lovely woman at church who always messages me and goes, Auntie, I can do anything for you. I can cook, I can clean. And I'm like, actually, like the freezer is full, but I still need to support her. So I would say, can you make me some food in one week? I'll send you the money, do it at your own convenience. Because instead of giving her the money just for the sake of giving her the money, she wants to work. She wants to feel like she's doing something.
Beautiful.
And actually, it's just nice to have a different flavor of food in the freezer as variety. So she'll bring it and she was very happy. Really, I did not need the food, but it was just nice. Just to give someone some opportunity and it gives them hope as well. So it starts from little things like that. Um, just give someone, you might think, oh yeah, you're working in the city or high flying job, so you're way above that person. No, you're not. You're just giving that person a little bit of hope, a little bit of attention. It just is loving, actually, it's beautiful.
That's so
And
nice.
I had a chance to chat with her once, and I just loved her perspective and how she thinks. And I was just, yeah, it's lovely to just give away something that way. And there are many, many other ways that you could do it,
Beautiful.
right? You could give, I told her you could do a flyer, let's put it around the neighborhood. And it might not mean much, but it's some knowledge that would go a long way. So I think we should look around and help each other.
I love that.
On a different level, um, I think the Global Queens is another movement that I started. And again, it's a community to support each other. And there's so many ways that people can help. So that's another one that
So how
I'm
can they help?
happy.
Tell us about the Global Queens community and how can they help if they want to?
Okay, so for the Global Queens, so the whole idea is to create avenues that enables us as women and allies to bridge the gap. So those who are thriving, those who are underrepresented, they can support each other. So we have 5 initiatives. We've got mentorship program. So if you'd love to mentor someone, as I mentioned, mentoring is in many forms, right? Supporting someone is practically mentorship. You can also support us with the training programs that we started. We're going to have innovators summer program in August. That's for children, and it's in partnership with Barclays. So there's going to be tech training and then financial literacy for young people. If you'd love to support financially in our initiatives, that would be massive help because we are a global charity and we're trying to break that gap at the global level. We've got training programs, we've got the mentorship, and we do workshops as well. So all of this is financially intensive. So any financial support, any support with venues, with coming to speak, all of that would go a long way. So any suggestions, we're open to all the options to support.
Brilliant.
And on a personal level, I think I probably alluded to it before. One of my key priorities into the future will be the policies to support women, policies at governmental levels to support women, single mothers. You know, I think mothers who really want to just make a difference, we really need to support them. I don't think that we've done enough. So, yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for that. Next question I have,
Thank you.
you're welcome. What's one way that you plan on paying it forward as a result of our conversation?
Oh, I just answered that, I think. So I'm
Exactly.
already paying it forward. I started the Global Queens as my way of paying it forward. And so by supporting the Global Queens, you're helping us realize our goals of supporting and elevating other people. We will be starting, I mentioned the AI for All webinar, and which will be followed by a training program. And also that will be targeting various age groups. So it's not just young people, but various ages, to ensure that everyone is AI ready. And irrespective of your industry, you can leverage and improve your skills so you are as I wouldn't use the word sellable or marketable, but you are able to fulfill your like be at your full capacity because you don't need to be employed. You could be employing others. But again, it's all about the transitioning of the world into an AI heavy world, and you need to be in well placed for it.
I love
And I also mentioned our policies, so I'm going to be engaging in some conversations to help make
fantastic.
that difference.
Thank you so much. So, the next question I have is, how do you hope sharing your story will impact others?
Oh, I love this question. I hope that, like I said at the start, someone who was where I was 10 years ago would listen to this and stop crying and like just wipe their tears knowing um, you're going to be fine and not to necessarily take the easy route because, again, I think it's the whole idea of um, giving up quickly. Giving up quickly might sound easy, but not the best. The real reward is in taking that strong, like take hold of the situation and tell yourself, I will be fine. I'm gonna challenge myself and give your kids all the love they need and knowing that you're their first role model so your decisions will go a long way to define who they become in the future because they're seeing your energy. My daughter came home for the half term, not how it was a weekend actually when we had family around from the States and she said I've been doing my exams the whole of last week, and so I stayed up late preparing till 2 a.m. or something, she said. I was like, but you're only 12 years old. Who taught you to do that? But I just realized I'm not there to tell her to do that, but she did that. I'm not advocating for that, but that's who I was. So I'm thinking she's just doing what she's been built to do or she's been nurtured to do, like work hard. And I applaud her for that. I do genuinely applaud her for that. So I think it's back to the point about being role models and knowing that the choices we're making, we're not making it for ourselves, honestly. No, we're not making it for ourselves. Yeah.
It's well said. That's really beautiful. My next question is, as a result of our conversation, what words of gratitude or appreciation would you like to put out there to your children's father?
Oh, I'd say thank you for giving me the chance to discover who I really am. Um, because I believe everyone who comes into our lives is in our life for a reason. And you wouldn't be who you are without considering those who came into your life and influenced it in one way or the other. One way or the other could be good, bad, but it's all about perspectives and also taking the lessons and also knowing that at each point in your life, whatever is thrown at you, it's an opportunity for you to choose who you really want to be. So if you threw a lemon at me, I could decide to throw it back or I could use it to make lemons, right? Lemonade. So the choice I made, given your actions to throw lemons at me, I still have to thank you because you gave me the chance to make lemonade. Yeah.
I love that. Turning lemons into lemonade. I love that. That's beautiful. You're so poetic.
Oh,
That's such a beautiful response. Really,
yeah,
you shared a lot of wisdom in that response, and thank you. Really,
yeah.
thank you.
Thank you.
What are you proud of yourself for?
Hmm. I don't know. I think I'm proud of myself for surviving.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good
I'm
one.
proud of myself for yeah, I don't think I'm a naturally proud person, but I think I'm grateful. I would say I'm grateful for the journey and coming this far. I'm really, really grateful.
That's beautiful. That's really nice. And I love the way you interchange the word, what feels right, the grateful. No, that's just really nice, special. The next question I have is, what do you want to say sorry to yourself for?
Hmm. I think I would love to say sorry to myself for not nurturing myself enough. So you get to a point where you're giving and giving and giving, and you forget to check in on yourself. And I think mm, that's the bit I would definitely want to do better at.
So this is a continuation. So although you've said sorry, what do you want to forgive yourself for?
I forgive myself for not loving myself enough, for not nurturing myself enough, for not pampering myself enough, whilst pampering everyone else and nurturing everyone else, but not doing that for myself enough. I would say sorry, and I say sorry to myself.
Wow, you're doing a great job. It's amazing.
uh,
Next question is, what do you want to say thank you to yourself for?
for being strong. I've got natural calming energy, but underlining it, I'm proud to discover the strength in me because you I couldn't have guessed that I had that kind of strength in me. So yeah.
Beautiful. The next question is, what are you willing to let go of and heal from as a result of this conversation?
Oh, I've let go of everything I want to let go of.
Good.
And I've healed from everything I want to heal from. So I'm actually where I want to be now.
That's
Um, so I don't know how to answer this question because I've
you did. You
actually
answered.
done all
That's good.
of
That's
But
beautiful.
yeah, it feels good to be where, what you are embodying is exactly what you need, and there is nothing else that matters. Yeah.
It's beautiful. So my final question, well done for making it this far. My final question is, do you have any final words to share with the listeners?
Oh, you should know your happy place and stay true to it because I think that happy place becomes your center point, your checkpoint. And it's just so key, even for anyone, because the world it's getting harder, more difficult. There's going to be more twists and turns because of the whole AI revolution. So you need to know what that happy place is, and then you can make sure keep that happy place tidy, clean, happy, and keep that place really good. So if it's a human being who's your happy place, make sure that you've kept that relationship very strong. If your happy place is God, then you should make sure you've got a strong relationship with God. If your happy place is, I don't know, whatever you feel within you, make sure that you know what that feeling is, and you're very um you kind of keep it as your sanctuary so that at any point you can go back into the happy place. I think that's key.
Wow, I love that. Listeners, Magda said, find your happy place and nurture that. Just hold on to it. I think that's beautiful. It's been a pleasure sitting here with you in this space, Magda, and sharing your wisdom. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. So thank you so much for sharing your journey with us and your words of wisdom. Thank you.
And thank you so much for having me. It's been special. Like just going through the questions and thinking about them. Yeah, I found myself asking myself lots of questions out of them. So thank you.
Oh, that's great.
Really,
That's
thank
exactly what
you.
it's supposed to do. Just activate that in you. So I've just got some final words for the listeners. Listeners, let's turn words into actions. If you've been moved today by today's story, think about how you can offer some support, no matter how big or small, whether it's a kind message, a shared resource, or connecting with our guest. Let's build a community that uplifts and empowers each other. Thank you for tuning into the Unheard Cries of a Mother. Your stories matter, and together we can create ripple effects of understanding, support, and transformation. If today's conversation resonated, please like, comment, subscribe, and share this episode with someone who needs to hear it. Remember, as mothers, we are stronger together. And until next time, let's keep uplifting each other and turning unheard cries into powerful voices. Thank you so much, Magda.
Thank you, Sabrina. It's been a pleasure.